All you're going to need for this is some paint. You can use watercolor paint, acrylic paint, it doesn't really matter what kind of paint that you use. And you will need masking tape. Sellotape I haven't tried to use, but it might work, but just the masking tape is a little bit more sticky and it sticks down to the paper a little bit better than the sellotape. And also with sellotape it tends to tear off the paper. So you're going to need some masking tape for this. An alternative I suppose you could use is to just tape down some pieces of paper, so to make like you could cut the paper up and then use sellotape at the back of it and stick it down. It won't be as effective because it won't be all sticky, but if you're at home and you don't have masking tape, it would be an alternative that you could use. Okay, so the intention being that you stick down the paper and that acts as a template to not get paint underneath that section. You'll see what I mean later when I show you. So that would be an alternative for if you don't have the masking tape at home with you. Masking tape comes in different sizes, so I have all the different sizes here, the thick one, the medium one, the thin one, but it really comes in every size. Also, a thing to be mindful of is it also comes in different stickinesses. So this one is not too sticky. If they're too sticky, a trick to do for those is to take it off and to just get the masking tape and stick it to your pants or your jeans or some kind of material, and then it just takes off the stickiness, or even down on the table there. It'll just take off it being as intensely sticky. Okay, so you can see here what the intention is. You sticking down masking tape. These pieces were masking tape strips that were put down first, and I'll show you the video for this after I'm finished talking. Just sticking down the masking tape. That was done outside because with the splattery paint you're going to get it everywhere really. If you don't have an outdoor space, putting down a large amount of plastic on the floor or the table can work effectively as well. Okay, so masking tape. Yes, the 3 different thicknesses here, and what we're going to do now is stick them down onto the paper, but it's good to remember as well that you can stick them onto anything really. So upcycling, like this is a folder, from a school folder for your notes and things, and that's plastic. You can do this technique on those things as well. In fact, I've even done it on bedroom walls and stuff as a kind of a mural in a bedroom, and anybody can do it. That's why I really like this technique, is it's really, really simple. It doesn't take a massive level of skill, and it's very effective. So I did actually paint this girl's face on first, and then when it was dry, covered her in masking tape. You'll see in the video in a minute. And then did the masking tape and splattered paint. So I love the contrast of doing the more traditional style of painting and then doing this wild splattered painting. So it reminds me of Jackson Pollock, who's a painter that I love. Just that wild, unpredictable kind of finish, but I've added in doing my own lifelike piece as well inside there. Okay, so let's get going. Let's get all these pieces painted up, and I'm going to show you how to put the masking tape down now. Okay, so with the masking tape, you don't have to really overthink it. It's just about placing it down. I'm using the masking tape on top of this folder here. So you're just sticking it down. Okay, so when your masking tape is down, you're ready to start painting. You can see that I'm not worried at all about you don't have to be tidy here. You don't have to go up to the lines or colour inside the lines at all. You can just literally go for it with the paint. The masking tape is going to take care of that line for you anyway. So you can go over the masking tape even, it doesn't really matter. Creating blends can be nice where I'm blending the yellow and the pink there together. It's lovely really, because you really don't need to worry about straight lines here.
the masking tape takes care of all of that for you. So just really enjoy the process. Enjoy the process of putting down the paint. I'm using acrylic paint here because I'm working on plastic, and it will need a few coats on the plastic as well. Okay, so when you have your base down and you wanted to do something a little bit more playful, doing splashing of the paint. So I showed you earlier my big piece that I made, and I did that outside because it was a large piece. So I'm going to show you a few techniques if you just want to do it on a small piece and you want to do it inside. The main thing is to water down the paint when you're doing the splash, when you're doing the splashing of the paint. So I just put some water in the container I got from the recycling bin there, and I'm going to mix some water with some blue paint and add some blue paint on top of the pink, yellow and white there that I put down first. So I'm mixing all the paint and water together. So you know the biggest issue when you're doing the splashing of the paint is that it'll go all over your face and all over the house really. So there's a few little techniques when you're doing splashing of the paint that will help prevent that happening. But it's best to put down some plastic and things. I don't have any down here, but it'll be easy to wipe off this table afterwards because it's a shiny surface. So I'm just going to add a little bit of white in with my blue there over a lighter blue. And then you just mix it up. Okay, so we have our mixed up blue paint, and now we're going to splasher it down on top of the other colours. So the point of adding the water is it just makes it a bit easier to fall off the brush when you're wanting it to splash on. So you load up your brush with some of the watered down paint, and then you're going to hold it over your piece and just tap the brush with your hand like that. Now the more water you add, the more liquidy it'll become. So if you wanted it to be neater splashes, you just add less water. So play around with it, it's a really fun thing to do. I'm holding the brush and then I'm just tapping with my finger on top. If you catch it and throw it backwards and forwards, it goes everywhere. So that's a nice little, hold it up higher from the piece and it'll splash differently. The best thing to do is to just play around with it. If you're using acrylic paint like I am, old clothes are advisable because it might get on you. But you can see there from using that technique, I have no paint on my hands whatsoever, which is great. It really does work. And you can hold it quite close to the piece and then. So I'm just going to do this really quickly. I'm not doing loads of different colours. Splashed on. So the reason that I use this splashing technique when I do the masking tape is because there's something lovely about having the straight clean lines after the splashed on paint. Now I also use plastic here because if you use just light paper from the printer, it's hard when you're taking off the masking tape to prevent it from tearing. So try and pick some cardboard out. You could use a cereal box again for it, or some card, or heavy paper. And I did my big piece on a canvas just because it's thicker. Okay, so you can really get into that. Okay, so I've let this dry. I used a hairdryer to help it along, and something unpredictable that happened that I didn't have when I was doing it on paper is that the blobs joined together and the white paint separated from the blue. I had mixed white and blue because it was on plastic. So see what fun things happen when you try it on different surfaces. On the plastic that happened. So now I'm tearing off the masking tape when it's nearly dry. It's not fully dry, like I said earlier. If it's fully dry, sometimes it's hard to take off the masking tape. Okay, so I can see my lines aren't very clean. It's seeped under a little on the plastic. Perhaps taking off too much of the sticky tape wasn't the right move there for the plastic. But it's just all about trying different things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up my line there with a damp cloth, and that's the finished piece. I'm going to let that fully dry now.
Okay guys, so there you have it. That's our masking tape splatter paint art. And this is the finished piece for the folder. And I actually love that. So the acrylic paint on plastic really works nicely. A nice way to upcycle like your folders and things for school, especially when you have some time off. These plastic little poly pockets are used, I think, for most subjects. So it's a nice way to brighten them up and personalise them yourself. I also did this tin, which was a tin of beans I got from the recycling bin. And what I did was I took off the paper on the outside, added some masking tape, same technique as on the paper. Again, acrylic paint because it's on tin. And then took off the masking tape before it was completely dried. That's the trick, take it off before it's completely dried. And you could actually do decoration on the piece left then from the masking tape afterwards. I personally really like that it's just left plain in contrast with the paint. So I'm just using that then for holding some of my pins. So another nice thing to upcycle. So those are our finished ones. There I added on some paper as well. Like I was saying, you can make the templates, but you could even cut out characters or whatever shapes and stick them down and then add the masking tape. It mightn't be as clean the finished when you've got the paper put down, but it does work. Okay, and lovely contrast then from the splattered paint. That's another one. Just simple colours. You can see you can put the masking tape, any shapes that you like down. That was another splattery one I did. I did that outside. Splattery one again. And I really got into them. They're a really fun thing to do. That's the blue with the yellow splatters. Then just adding different kinds of blues together. And then just some block colour. So guys, have fun with it. What worked, what didn't work, what would I do differently? It really worked on the plastic because I could clean off the plastic in between afterwards, even when it went under the masking tape. Some of the paper tore sometimes, so I would, when I'm doing it on paper, I would really take off some of the stick first before putting it down on the paper. And it really worked well on the canvas because the canvas is much harder. So if you have any shiny kind of surfaces, I think it would work best on them. And I loved doing it on the tin because it's a really nice idea to upcycle stuff that you already have. You could do it on stones, you could do it on shells, anything you have really. You could try it on some of your driftwood if you have some left over. But mainly all you need to do is get masking tape and get going with it. And have fun with it. Again, I started this morning and by the time that I was finished, it's just a real mood uplifter, especially when we can't go outside at the moment. It's just a great place to be inside your imagination and getting creative. It really is a nice thing to do when we have less activities to do outside. So guys, have fun being creative and get your adults, your parents involved with it. It's a nice thing to do together. And thank you so much for the pictures. I've got emails and text messages with pictures of different kids doing art, doing the different things that we did, especially last week with the eggs. There were some really beautiful ones. So thank you so much. It's really nice to see that you guys are getting into it and that it's something that's been helpful. And I'll see you next week for another video. And happy Easter, guys. Have a great one.